Welcome back to the Metronome Madness League. It is Sixxy Sleepers versus the Shadow Squad in round number 12. The Curly is on the field for the Shadow Squad. Its Trace will copy the Minccino's technician ability as Minccino hits it with a dual wing beat. Actually does quite a bit of damage to that Curlia, as Curlia goes for a reflect type, just copying everything about the Minccino. So now it is a normal type. Minccino going again, this time with an Encore. That will fail, as of course everybody is only using Metronome. And there goes Psychic Terrain from the Curlia. Curlia has not tried to attack the Minccino yet. Not sure what the plan is there, as the smackdown comes from Minccino. It's a critical hit and Curlia goes down. Not even a single attack had gone out from Curlia there, and that is not what the Shadow Squad want to see. Shadow Squad need a win here. They have a losing record. They're 5-6. Curlia goes for a spark against the Fracture, who is now on the field for the Shadow Squad. Excuse me. Fracture goes for a Cotton Guard there, raising its defenses. Another dual wing beat. That's twice this battle that Minccino has gone for that, doing a little bit of damage to the Fracture. As Fracture goes for a Hydro Steam. Decent amount of damage to Minccino. Minccino surprisingly took that well, as it tries to go for a Thunderclap. That does not work, giving Fracture another chance to attack, but it will set up a Sandstorm instead, which will damage both sides of the field. See how it affects the battle in the future. The Sleepers are 6-5 on the season. A win would be good for them to try and solidify spots in the playoffs. Minccino tried to go for a Blizzard, which would have been super effective. It misses though, as Fracture puts up the Iron Defense. So Iron Defense gonna raise its defenses up more, as both Pokemon take damage from the Sandstorm. There goes a peck from the Minccino. That barely did anything at all. And Fracture will go again, this time with a knockoff. Knockoff will knock out the Minccino, so it does go down there, and the Sleepers lose their first Pokemon. Quagsire is going to be the second Pokemon for the Sleepers. It will not be affected by the Sandstorm, so at this point it's just all negative for the Fracture, as it goes for a stab. Dragon Balls doesn't do that much damage though, as Quagsire now goes for a Tickle. The Tickle, of course, going to lower Fracture's attack and defense, so it continues to be harmed by the Sandstorm that it put up itself. There goes Fracture now with the Crush Grip, chipping away at the Quagsire. Quagsire going for the Horn Attack. Horn Attack actually does quite a bit, even with the defense boost. And Fracture's in the red. It was a crit. We'll keep that in mind as it tries to go for a Rock Throw. Not very effective on the Quagsire. It is a ground type, of course, and the Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch barely did anything. That gives Fracture just at least one more move to attack, and it goes for a Dragon Tail. Interesting tactic. They were not winning against the Quagsire, so the Shadow Squad chooses to force it out, and now they'll be up against the Execute. Fracture going again, this time trying to put it to sleep, but the Sleep Powder, of course, will not work on Execute because it is a Grass-type Pokemon. Execute fails its last resort, though. So Fracture gets another chance. It goes for the Mud Slap. Not very effective. It does lower that accuracy, which can be handy if your opponent can't hit you. Then you can't be hurt. There goes a Poison Sting, and there we go. It is avoided. Fracture staying alive despite being in the danger zone. Goes for a Bug Bite. That's super effective, and it eats the Oran Berry that was being held by the Execute. So Fracture gets a little bit of health back. Still in the red, but not so close to 1 HP. The Dual Chop barely does anything. Fracture takes that easily, and it goes for Psychic Fangs. That's not very effective as well. And Execute goes again, this time with a Fling. However, it can't do it because Fling would have been the berry it was holding, which was eaten by the Fracture. It goes for Sacred Sword, another not very effective move. It is chipping away at the Execute, but it's not picking good moves. Besides that Bug Bite, most of its moves have been not very effective against the Execute. Does go for a Psyblade, another not very effective move. Fracture not playing well at all. Here comes the Execute now, charging up a Meteor Beam. It's gonna raise his special attack, and I'm pretty sure that's a stab move for the Execute. As Fracture goes for a Clear Smog. Execute lives it, but that's a smart move on the Fracture, one of its only smart moves here, as it gets rid of the special attack boost that it had, but it still faints to that Meteor Beam, even though it tried to make itself survive. Chespin gonna be the last Pokemon on the Shadow Squad, and it's gonna Terrastallize as per usual. Chespin turning itself into a water type, going up against the Execute. Execute honestly played pretty well against the Fracture. Now trying to take out Chespin, goes for the Bubble Beam. That, of course, not very effective. And Chespin will go for an Acid. Acid is super effective, and Execute will faint there. So the Sleeper's also down to their last Pokemon. It is the Quagsire, who has lost most of its health already. So it may give the Shadow Squad an upper hand. We'll see what happens, but Quagsire will Terrastallize this time into the Ghost type. Ghost type Quagsire against Water type Chespin. Chespin goes first, goes for a Poison Sting, not very effective. Quagsire now with a Sludge Wave. Sludge Wave would have been super effective, but no longer. But it still takes half of Chespin's health. Chespin going for the Power Split. And now the Smoke Screen coming from the Quagsire. Again, we mentioned how detrimental lowered accuracy can be in this battle. And Chespin tries to make up for it by going for a Yawn. Of course, Quagsire will fall asleep after one turn. It goes for a Wave Crash here. That's not very effective, so Chespin gets to live with a bit of HP left. It is in the danger zone right now as it tries to go for a Sucker Punch. Of course, that does not work in a Metronome battle, giving Quagsire one more chance to attack, and it goes for a Poison Powder. That's one way to get over the fact that you know your Pokemon will be sleep. So despite being sleep, despite Quagsire being sleep, the Chespin will still be hurt by the poison, only giving it one turn to attack. It goes for a Shockwave, which hits because Quagsire is a Ghost type, but is not enough to take it out. So the poison will take out the Chespin, and the Sleepers will win. They are going to be 7-5 on the season, while the Shadow Squad goes down to 5-7. If you enjoyed that match, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more of the Metronome Madness League, and I will see you in the next one.